Hello. It's me again. Today I'm going to tell a powerful and moving story about a 20-year-old boy named Kamba. He'll start right away. Oh, you haven't subscribed to my channel yet? Remember to subscribe and hit like after you finish listening. Let's start from here. The village nestled in the red soil of Africa, where the sun each morning blazed down on the thatched roofs like a heavy ball of fire. The wind carried dust, which clung to their hair, their eyes, and their impoverished dreams. A young man named Kamba, 20 years old, barefoot,
no papers?
a
Go
worn-out
away.
cloth shirt.
We
His
don't need any
gaze
more
always
people.
looked beyond the acacia trees at the edge of the
We don't
village.
need any more people.
His mother sat by the fire, stirring a pot of thin corn porridge. "Mother, eat some more. You've worked all day." Kamba shook his head, pushing the bowl of porridge closer to his mother. "Kamba, you eat." "Mother, I'm full." The narrator, Kamba, lied. His stomach was empty, but his eyes were full of something else, dreams. That night, Kamba lay on the ground, gazing up at the star-studded thatched roof. Kamba, whispering, "Someday, I will bring light to this village." In the morning, before the sun had risen high, Kamba tied up his small cloth bag. Inside were only an old knife, a family photograph, and a few coins his mother had saved all year. His mother stood at the door, her hands trembling. She said, "The city is so big, people there are nothing like in our village." Kamba bowed his head, touching his forehead to her hand. Kamba said, "If I don't go, our village will always be like this." No one saw Kamba off except along the long dirt road. But the whole village was now in his heart. The city unfolded like a giant beast. Cars, horns, the smell of grease and sweat. Kamba applied for work everywhere. Restaurant owners, "No papers? Go away." Managers, "We don't need any more people." He slept under bridges, worked as a porter during the day, and washed dishes at night. In the kitchen, Kamba watched the chef prepare dishes from local grains and spices. Kamba learned by sight, by smell, and by the memories of his village. After work, Kamba asked for leftover ingredients: corn, beans, roots, forest spices. He cooked on a small charcoal stove. He failed, but tried again. His roommate said, "Are you crazy?" Kamba remained silent, staring at the pot of food. He was cooking memories. One afternoon, when the kitchen had just emptied, a familiar yet strange aroma still lingered in the air. The owner leaned against the table, looking at the pot of food Kamba had just finished cooking. "Owner, this dish, who made it?" Kamba stepped out, his hands still sticky with flour, a hint of anxiety in his eyes. "Kamba, it was me." The owner scooped a spoonful, tasting it slowly. He didn't say anything immediately. He only nodded slightly, as if recalling something distant. "Owner, food has a soul." "Where did you learn?" "Kamba, I learned from the earth and from hunger." Narrator, that answer left the man silent for a long time. The next day, Kamba was called in. "Owner, from today, you will be the head chef. I need someone who understands the food, not just someone who cooks it." Kamba bowed deeply. His shoulders trembled slightly. Kamba, thank you. Time passed. A day. Then a month. Then 2 years. Kamba became the youngest head chef in the restaurant. He arrived earliest and left latest. His hands were calloused, burns overlapping old ones. But his gaze grew increasingly steadfast. His salary improved. Bonuses came regularly. Kamba didn't spend much. Every coin was neatly folded and kept in a cloth pouch. The narrator recounts, during those 2 years, Kamba didn't just cook. He saved for a dream. One late night, after the restaurant had closed, Kamba stood before the owner. Kamba, I want to quit. The owner looked at him for a long time. Owner, are you looking for another place, Lay? Kamba shook his head. Kamba, I want to open my own restaurant. The owner smiled and patted him lightly on the shoulder. Owner, go ahead. But remember one thing, don't let your dishes lose their memory. The narrator concludes, Kamba left the restaurant that night. He didn't have much money in his pocket, but a clear path lay in his heart. The day Kamba left his old restaurant, the city was as noisy as ever. No one knew that a young chef had just ended 2 years of his life to embark on a big gamble. He rented a small room deep in a narrow alley, where sunlight only filtered in at noon. The walls were peeling, the roof low, the cement floor cracked. But for Kamba, it was where his dream could begin. He personally cleaned the tables, mended the broken chair legs, and set up an old charcoal stove against the wall. Each hammer blow was decisive, as if he were driving stakes into his own future. In front of the restaurant, Kamba hung a small wooden sign, the writing still uneven, earthy flavors, hometown dishes. On the first day, there were no customers. Kamba sat behind the stove, clearly hearing his stomach rumbling. He still cooked, still arranged the dishes on the table, as if waiting for someone very familiar. In the afternoon, a man stopped, gently inhaling the aroma of food wafting from the alley. Customer, this smell is strange. Kamba scooped the first dish in his own restaurant, placing it down in front of the customer, his hands trembling slightly. That wasn't just his first meal. It was Kamba's first step on his chosen path. A few weeks later, Kamba began searching for land. A plot of land at a crossroads, where the sun shone all day long. Weeds grew taller than his knees, but the soil was firm. The seller looked at him suspiciously. The seller said, "Are you sure? This isn't a small amount of money." Kamba pulled a thick wad of cash from his cloth bag. No boasting. No trembling. Kamba said, "I'm not buying land. I'm buying a road." Kamba pooled all his savings, leaving himself no escape route. The restaurant was built day by day. Red brick walls, a high roof, and wide windows to let the aroma of the food waft far and wide. Kamba personally selected each table, wrote the menu, and worked in the kitchen from morning till night. When the sign was hung up, it had just started to rain. On the dark brown wooden background, the words were deeply engraved, Kamba's Earth Flavor Restaurant. On opening night, the lights blazed brightly across the street. The parking lot was packed with customers. Laughter, the clinking of dishes, and the aroma of food filled the air. After a few months, Sales increased so rapidly that Kamba had to sit down with the books every night. The numbers were no longer just a few lines, but filled entire pages. One evening, the manager stood before him, his voice firm. "Manager, you can't keep cooking like this forever. Open more branches. Your dishes require more kitchen space." Kamba was silent for a long time. He looked at his hands, the old scars fading. Finally, he nodded. The second branch opened in a busy neighborhood. Then a third, a fourth. The Kamba Earth Fragrance sign appeared on many different streets, like warm flames in the vast city. Kamba hired chefs, trained staff, and passed on to them every secret, every story behind the dishes. "Kamba, you're not just cooking to fill our stomachs. You're cooking memories." Gradually, Kamba no longer stood in the kitchen every day. He wore a simple shirt, sat at the back of the restaurant, and quietly observed. The staff bowed in greeting. "Staff, good morning, boss." Kamba nodded slightly. Not proud, not ostentatious. Just a man who had come a long way from the small kitchen in the dark alley. Kamba had become a big boss. Success had called his name. But his heart had never truly belonged to this city. Late one night, Kamba stood on a high balcony, looking down at the stream of cars with their lights like a river of light. In the hot city breeze, he could clearly hear the crackling of the dry red earth in his memory. Kamba took out an old photograph and gently stroked it. Kamba, whispering, "Now it's enough." Kamba closed down his rapidly growing branches, handing them over to trusted individuals, and then turned his back on the city. Ahead of him lay the road back to his village, the place where he was born, and where he was about to give everything away. The restaurant had established itself. Its name had been made known. And when everything was just right, Kamba turned his back on the city to return to where he began. The sleek black car slowly came to a stop at the edge of the village. The engine shut off, leaving an eerie silence between the familiar sound of the wind and the smell of damp earth. The door opened. Kamba stepped out. His leather shoes touched the red dirt road. In that moment, old memories flooded back like a broken dam. The city with its tall buildings and dazzling lights suddenly seemed alien. He stood for a long time at the edge of the village, not in a hurry to move on. Kamba had returned with the appearance of a successful man, but his heart trembled as it did when he was a barefoot boy. He walked slowly along the narrow paths. The roads were still narrow and muddy. Puddles of mud remained after the rain, reflecting the pale gray sky. Every step had to be carefully avoided. The houses were low and dilapidated, with old roofs. In some places, the corrugated iron sheets were blown askew by the wind, revealing dark spaces inside. Children ran past him. Their shirts were torn at the shoulders. Their pants were frayed at the knees. Their bare feet were covered in mud. One child stopped, looking at Kamba with curious eyes. The child asked, "Who are you, sir?" Kamba didn't answer immediately. His throat tightened. Here, time seems to stand still. People grow up, but poverty remains. He walked past an empty plot of land that should have been a school. Only a few rotten logs served as makeshift chairs. No blackboard. No books. The wind blew, kicking up clouds of dust. Kamba gently closed his eyes. At the end of the road was the old house. The thatched roof was tattered, patched with faded ropes. The mud walls were cracked. The wooden door was warped. On the porch, his mother sat there. She was thinner than he remembered. Her shoulders were smaller. Her hair was mostly gray, loosely tied in a bun at the back of her head. Her trembling hands held a needle, slowly mending a worn-out shirt. The narrator's voice lowered. Kamba felt his heart tighten. All his successes suddenly felt as light as sand. He couldn't walk anymore. Then, suddenly, Kamba ran. He knelt before his mother, embracing her tightly. Kamba, mother. His mother froze. The needle fell to the ground. She reached out and touched his back, as if afraid this was just a dream. Mother, son, is that true? Kamba tightened his grip. Kamba, I'm home. I'm sorry for making you wait so long. His mother wept. Tears fell onto his elegant coat, soaking it without him noticing. Mother, I'm just glad you're alive. I don't need anything else. Oh. In her arms, Kamba was no longer a big boss. He was just a son returning home. Night fell. Mother and son sat by the small fire. Kamba recounted his years in the city. Nights sleeping under bridges. Days spent standing in the kitchen until his hands blistered. Times he almost gave up. His mother listened silently. She didn't ask many questions. She only nodded occasionally. Mother, you've suffered so much. Kamba took his mother's hand. A thin, cold hand. Kamba, mother, let me do something for you. His mother looked at him. Mother, what? Kamba looked out at the dark road in front of the house. Kamba, I want to change this village. His mother was silent for a long time. Then she nodded, slowly. Mother, if that's what you choose, I believe in you. The next morning, before the sun had risen above the acacia trees at the edge of the village, Kamba woke up. He went outside. The night dew still clung to the red, cold, and damp ground. The winding, bumpy road in front of his house was covered with the barefoot footprints of generations. Kamba stood there for a long time, gazing at the road. The day he left the village, this very road bid him farewell. The day he returned, it was still there. Not wider, not straighter. Just older. Children's voices echoed from afar. A small group was going to school, or rather, going to the open space at the end of the village. One child held a wooden board, another a piece of black charcoal. A little girl slipped and fell into a puddle of mud. The others pulled her up, laughed, and then got dirty again. Kamba clenched his fists. He suddenly understood. To change a village, you have to start where everyone walks. The road. At noon, Kamba called the villagers together. No loudspeaker. No platform. Just standing in the middle of an open field, his shoes covered in red mud. The villagers looked at him, whispering. Villagers. They say he's very rich. He'll probably just go back and then leave again. Kamba spoke, his voice low but clear. Kamba. This road is too narrow, too muddy. Children fall every day. The sick can't walk on it. I think they'd ask. He paused, looking at each face. Kamba. I want to rebuild it. A believe. A silence fell. An older man stepped forward. The man. Where's the money? Once it's done, who will keep it? Kamba bowed his head, picking up a handful of red earth. Kamba. This land belongs to the village. This road belongs to the village. I only brought back what I borrowed. Ard. There was no applause. Only changing gazes, slowly, like dry earth soaking up water. The next day, the sound of hose echoed from early morning. Kamba took off his coat and rolled up his sleeves. The hands that once held kitchen knives now held shovels. Each stroke was heavy and deep. The villagers initially just watched. Then one person joined in. Then two. Then the whole group. Women carried water. Children picked up stones. The elderly sat pointing out the hard and soft patches of soil. The first road wasn't paved. It was built with sweat, with memories, with a newly kindled belief. 1 week, then 2 weeks. The old road was widened. The mud was filled. The stones were compacted. When it rained, the water no longer pooled in deep puddles. On the day the road was finished, Kamba stood silently watching. A child ran along the new road, without falling. The child turned back, laughing loudly. The child. It's a new road. Kamba didn't laugh. He bent down, touching the ground. This was only the first road. That night, he sat by the fire with his mother. Mother. Are you tired? Kamba shook his head. Kamba. I've only just begun. Mother. I've must innate. His mother looked at him, her eyes filled with both worry and warmth. The first road had been opened. Not just on the ground, and within the heart of an entire village. And from that road, other roads will spring up. In the morning, the black car was still parked at the edge of the village. No one approached it. It stood there like a strange object, gleaming against the red earth and thatched roofs. Kamba stepped out and walked along the main road. His shoes were muddy. Each step was slow. He walked past each house, each puddle, each bumpy stretch of road. The scenery remained unchanged. Only the people had aged. Silent eyes followed him. Whispers began to rise. Villagers, whispering. Is that him? I heard he's very rich now. That car could probably sell for the whole village. Over. He'll probably just leave again after he's gone. Olang. Kamba heard them. He didn't turn around. At noon, Kamba asked the village chief to call everyone together in the open space in the middle of the village. No tables or chairs. No tents. Just the ground as a foundation. The villagers all arrived. Some stood far away. Some folded their arms. Some sat on the ground. Scrutinizing glances. Kamba stood before them. No microphone. No notes. He took a deep breath. Kamba. I didn't come back to brag about what I've accomplished. Adam. A few murmurs arose. Villagers. Then why did you come back? What good is being rich? Kamba waited for silence. Kamba. I came back because of this road. He pointed to the red earth beneath his feet. Kamba. The road is muddy. Narrow. Children fall on their way to school. The sick can't be carried out in time. End quote. The atmosphere became somber. Kamba didn't say much. He made no promises. He didn't boast about his accomplishments. Kamba. I will rebuild the village's main road. End quote. The village buzzed with excitement. An older man stepped forward. The older man. Are you going to tell the villagers to do it themselves? Kamba shook his head. Kamba. No. He looked directly at everyone. Kamba. I will hire a professional construction team. I think. The whole village fell silent. Kamba continued, his voice firm. Kamba. A road and bridge construction company. They have bulldozers, rollers, and engineers. They will do it according to proper techniques. Again. A woman whispered. The woman. Where will you get the money to hire them? Kamba answered immediately, without hesitation. Kamba. My money. And no boasting. No shouting. Just a single sentence, heavy as a stone. Kamba. The village doesn't need to contribute money. It doesn't need to contribute labor. Quote. A long silence followed. Kamba looked around. Kamba. I only need one thing. Is Mr. Everyone looked up. Kamba. Let me do it. The way. In the middle of the open space, the old road remained, muddy and silent. But from this moment, it was called by a name for the first time. 3 days later, the sound of engines echoed from the edge of the village. No longer a single, unfamiliar vehicle. This time it was a whole convoy. Yellow bulldozers, trucks loaded with stones, road rollers laden with goods. Red dust billowed in the morning sun. Villagers stood along the roadside, silently watching. Children gaped. Old people leaned on their canes, squinting. Villagers whispering. It's true. It's a big company. And mum. I'm not kidding. Lowness. The engineer spread the blueprints out on the car's hood. Ruler. Pen. Clear lines intersected the muddy road of yesteryear. Kamba stood behind him. No pointing. No orders. He just watched. The bulldozer roared. Its iron blade plunged into the ground. The mud was pushed aside, revealing the hard foundation beneath, something no one had seen for years. The road began to change shape from the very first day. In the afternoon, Kamba returned. His shirt was dusty. His shoes were muddy like everyone else's. A child ran up to him. The child asked, "Uncle, will the machine run again tomorrow?" Kamba bent down and smiled. Kamba replied, "Yes. It will run until the road no longer makes you fall." The child laughed and ran off to show off to his friends. In the days that followed, Kamba was always there. Early morning, midday sun, late afternoon. He stood with the villagers, watching each truckload of stones being dumped, each roller compacting the road surface. The rumbling sound echoed in his chest, regular, like the new heartbeat of the village. At first, everyone just stood at a distance. Then some people brought water for the workers. Some people provided tarpaulins to protect them from the scorching sun. Some people pointed out the weak sections of soil, the sections prone to collapse, to the engineers. Without anyone saying a word, the road was being built, and people's hearts were opening up. One afternoon, the man who had questioned Kamba at the village meeting stood beside him. The man. "You don't need to stay here all the time." "I did." Kamba looked at the road, gradually leveling before his eyes. "Kamba, I want to see it take shape." "You." The man nodded, very slightly. From the initial whispers of "that guy," people began calling him by his name. "Kamba's coming. Kamba's standing over there. Has Kamba eaten yet?" Small questions, but warm. One afternoon, Kamba's mother brought out a pot of rice and some vegetables. She sat down beside her son, looking at the new road. "Mother, our village is different now, son." Kamba didn't answer. He just looked. The road wasn't completely finished, but the dust had lessened. The mud was no longer ankle deep. More importantly, the villagers' gazes towards Kamba had changed. No more wariness. No more suspicion. Only growing trust. Slowly but surely. Like the road surface being compacted after each roll of the roller. Kamba stood amidst the noise of machinery and the laughter of children. He understood one thing. Some changes don't need thanks. It's enough that people no longer avoid your gaze. The day the road was completed, it didn't rain. The road surface was smooth, wide, and gleamed red in the sunlight. The last tire tracks disappeared. The machinery stopped. The engines shut off. A strange silence fell over the village. The villagers stood on the new road, pacing back and forth, as if they couldn't believe their eyes. The children ran. They didn't slip. They didn't fall. Kamba stood at the end of the road, looking toward the end of the village. It was still the same old open space. A few rotting logs. No roof. No sound of reading aloud. He turned to the construction supervisor. Kamba, if we were to build another structure here, what would you think? The supervisor looked in the direction he pointed. Supervisor, what do you want to do? Kamba replied without hesitation. Kamba. A school. I was denied. The commander was silent for a few seconds, then nodded. Commander. The ground is stable. The foundation is firm. It can be done. But the cost will be high. H-Selv. Kamba looked back at the path, where small footprints were running past. Kamba. Just do it like you're doing it for your child. Inbrection. The commander sighed, a brief smile on his face. Commander. Then I'll recalculate the blueprints. In 24. The news spread faster than the sound of a machine. A school. Really? The villagers stopped murmuring. They whispered softly, as if afraid to speak loudly would shatter what was taking shape. Kamba's mother sat on the porch, watching the children gather around the open space. Mother. They're going to learn to read and write soon. The school grew day by day. Brick walls. High corrugated iron roof. Wide windows. Not luxurious, but sturdy. The day the wooden sign was hung up, the letters were still simple. Twanged at village school. Kamba didn't attend the ceremony. He had gone to the city. The city was still noisy. But this time, Kamba wasn't there to make a living. He walked into the administrative buildings, simple in his shirt, a thick stack of files in his hand. The officials looked at him, surprised. Official. You're requesting electricity for the whole village. Kamba nodded. Kamba. The roads are already there. The school is under construction. If it's still dark at night, how will the children study? Appointments followed one after another. Waitings followed. Cold questions. Where's the budget? What's the long-term plan? Who's responsible for the operation? Kamba answered each question calmly, clearly, without raising his voice. Kamba, I'll handle the first part. The village will handle the rest. And one afternoon, as he stepped out of the last building, the sky had turned golden. An official called after him. Official, your application has been approved for the pilot project. Imported. Kamba stopped, turned around. Official, electricity will reach the village in 3 months. Code. Kamba stood still for a long time in the bustling street. Cars sped past, their lights flickering. For the first time in years, his eyes stung. The road had opened. The school was rising from the ground. And light, finally, was making its way to the village. The morning came like any other day. Kamba was washing his face by the well when his phone rang in his pocket. He wiped his hands on his shirt and looked at the screen. An unfamiliar number. Kamba answered. The voice on the other end was clear and decisive. The power company employee. We are the regional power company. The construction team is on its way to the village. Work begins today. I must. Kamba was silent for a moment. Kamba. Yes. I'm here. I'm self. The call ended. No music. No congratulations. But his heart pounded like a drum. About an hour later, the sound of engines echoed from the beginning of the new road. This time it wasn't a construction vehicle. It was a truck carrying utility poles. The cables were coiled, black and heavy, like sleeping pythons. The villagers rushed out. Adults, children, the elderly. The villagers, buzzing. Is that electricity? Really? Is it as bright as in the city? The vehicle stopped. Workers in protective clothing jumped out. Marker posts were planted. Measuring wires were stretched straight along the road. Electric poles were erected one by one. Straight. Tall. Sturdy. The sound of hammers. The sound of drills. The sound of metal hitting the ground echoed steadily in the sunlight. Kamba stood by the roadside. He didn't interfere. He didn't direct. He only watched as each section of wire was pulled up, each connection tightened. By noon, the electric wires stretched across the village sky, like fresh brushstrokes in the air. In the afternoon, the workers began going into each house. One house at a time. Light bulbs were installed. Switches were mounted on the earthen walls. Wires ran along the wooden beams. Everyone held their breath. The worker. Prepare to switch it on. Yes. Click. The light switched on. A house lit up. A woman covered her face. An old man stood silently. The children cheered. The power's back on. It's so bright. It's like daytime. Then the second house. The third. The 10th. Light followed light, spreading along the new road, flowing into each low roof like a stream in a drought. When darkness fell, the whole village was no longer shrouded in shadows. Yellow lights hung suspended. The windows lit up. Laughter echoed out into the street. The villagers searched for Kamba. He stood at the edge of the village, gazing at the spreading light. Someone called out loudly, "Kamba! Kamba!" People surrounded him. Some held his hand. Some patted his shoulder. Some couldn't speak, only nodded repeatedly. An older man stepped forward, his voice trembling. The man said, "You took the darkness away from this village. If you all..." A cheer erupted, unexpectedly. "Kamba! Kamba!" His name was called, echoing amidst the new light. Kamba bowed his head. He raised his hand for silence. "Kamba, this is not my light." End quote. Everyone fell silent. Kamba looked around, his voice slow. "Kamba, this is the light of our village." Ew. That night, for the first time, the village didn't go to sleep early. The light stayed awake with the people. And on the new road, the silhouette of a man stood for a long time, watching the light touch the red earth, as if touching his own childhood. Night fell. The village lit up, a stark contrast to its appearance in previous years. Kamba stood alone on the new road. Beneath his feet was flat ground. Above him stretched long power lines, gleaming in the yellow light. He recalled those old thoughts. Just whispers in his hungry stomach. If there were roads, people would walk. If there were schools, children would stay. If there were electricity, the night wouldn't swallow everything. Now, those thoughts were no longer in his head. They had risen from earth, from brick, from light. The villagers no longer carry water in the dark. Children study under the lamplight, no longer having to run home when the sky falls. The sick are taken to the streets faster, no longer getting lost. Kamba understood one thing very clearly. Kamba, thinking to himself, once the foundation is laid, the rest will grow on its own. It's good. He didn't need to stay and show the way forever. The path was already known. That night, As he sat with his mother on the porch, the phone rang. It was the city. A familiar voice spoke urgently. Restaurant manager. Mr. Kamba, there's a new contract. The chain needs your approval immediately. No delay. Kamba looked at the lights inside the house, then at the brightly lit street outside. He answered briefly. Kamba. I'll be right there. He turned to his mother. Mother, you have to leave again, son. Kamba took her hand. Kamba, I won't be going alone anymore. His mother looked at him, surprised. Kamba, I want you to come to the city with me, where there are doctors, where there are lights all night. His mother was silent for a long time. Then she nodded. Mother, wherever you are, that's home. The mother and daughter didn't wake anyone. No notice. They only packed a few clothes, an old photograph, and the cloth bag that had been with Kamba since she left the village. They walked in the night. The road was illuminated beneath their feet. The lights bid them farewell without needing a word. The next morning, the villagers couldn't find Kamba. Neither could his mother. Only the light remained. The road was still open. The school was still standing. On the wall near the village well, there was a small piece of paper. The familiar, neat handwriting read, Asterisk, asterisk, I didn't leave the village. I only left so that the village wouldn't need me anymore. The road is there. The school is open. The light has returned. The rest is up to everyone. Asterisk, asterisk. Kamba, asterisk, asterisk. People stood for a long time in front of that piece of paper. No one cried. No one called out. Only a quiet belief spread, like the light that had touched the red earth the night before. Some people are not born to stay in one place for long, but to go far, then return to lay down a few bricks. Enough for others to continue their journey. Kamba is not a hero. He doesn't shout. He doesn't stand on a pedestal. He only does 3 very simple things: building roads so people don't fall, building schools so children don't drop out of school, and bringing light so the night is no longer frightening. When those things were firmly established, he quietly left. I like that detail the most. It wasn't when the villagers cheered, but when he chose to disappear, so the village could learn to grow on its own. Perhaps in everyone who hears this story, someone has dreamed of changing something big. But I believe all lasting change begins with a small path. If you are tired, if you feel your dreams are too far away, remember Kamba. Just lay down one brick each day. And eventually, you'll look back and realize your dream is no longer just in your head. It has taken root. If you've heard this far, if this story makes you pause a little, or think about the path you're on, please subscribe to the channel so I can continue telling you stories for those who stay up late. Thank you for staying until the very end.